So into the charts we go on Bitcoin. This again is the Bitcoin daily chart. You can see a nice little bounce. Yesterday we talked about how the bullish pattern was still intact because it resided within a 45-degree angle. And again, this is a little nugget of information that honestly is so priceless when understanding bull flags or in spirit of bull flags. Take a look here, guys. Here's your 45-degree angle approximately, and you can see that consolidation staying within. So even with the little bit of a sell-off on the BlockFi bankruptcy announcement yesterday, you still stayed within that bullish pattern formation. All right, now what is going on today? Well, we're right back up, just moving back up. Now, have you broken out yet? No, of course not, right? To break out, you have to break above here and really confirm. So we're still within that range, that consolidation range, but it continues to remain near-term bullish. And I think that's super, super important to see and understand at this point in time. All right, now, if we do break out, where is your first level of resistance? And the answer is very simple. You just go right back to here. You're basically looking at 17,600 to 700, which was your June low. If you get through that, then your next resistance level would be these lows here, which again would be around 18,600 or so. In addition, we do have a downsloping trend line that we can watch as well. And again, let me put in a trend line there. You can see from here to here, this would kind of be a big level if we rallied up into that. On the downside, like I've said to you guys, if we do take out this low here, and I'm going to get rid of this little zone here, this bull flag zone, just because I think I want to keep it as simple as possible. But right now you have this as your base, right? So we always talk about pattern formations, and in this case, you could have a new wedge pattern developing, right? Downsloping trend line, flat line bottom. Now, granted, it's very early on. I don't really think we'll stay in here for that long, but at some point, yes, I do think eventually we'll break below this low, and then you know where we're headed, 12, 13,000-ish, give or take, essentially this high pivot here, and then this area right in here, okay? And then again, this high is actually around 13,700, but I expect it to pierce there and kind of touch that 13-ish area, and then maybe go as low as this baseline here, this flat area here. If I zoom in a little bit, you can see that flat area right there, which is right around 12 or just below 12,000. Okay, so that's where we kind of are at this point on Bitcoin. And just to summarize, essentially, folks, you have a short-term micro bullish pattern. And that's, again, this very short-term consolidation off of this reversal here. We talked about how it's kind of like a pseudo cup and handle pattern here as well. That's your very short term, which favors the upside. But your macro pattern, your bigger pattern, continues to favor the downside. Okay? All right, so again, just so we're all on the same page about what we're expecting near-term, mid-term, long-term. Again, my mid-term is bearish, my short-term is bullish, and my long-term is extremely bullish. I really do continue to think that what we're coming into is going to be almost like, I know it sounds weird to say, but like a super cycle for Bitcoin. Once we get regulation, once we get transparency, all of those things become epically positive for drawing more money into Bitcoin. And because there's a max run of Bitcoin, only 21 million potential coins can be mined, and I think we're at like 16 or 17 million at this point, then there's really no, it's a supply-demand structure, right? It's that there's limited supply, so demand, if it increases, is going to force price up. Okay? All right. Now, if we go to Ethereum, it's much the same as the Bitcoin chart. Here's the lines I drew on yesterday. Here's your downsloping line. Here's your flat line. And again, remember that this was showing that 45-degree angle. And even with the sell-off yesterday, notice how you were still right at that 45-degree line. What's Ethereum doing? It's actually trying to break out here to the upside. So the bullish pattern is actually doing its best to play out here in the near term on Ethereum. Granted, all it's doing here is piercing, so don't jump to any conclusions, but at least you're seeing some buying frenzy there, some intrigue in the price of Ethereum. On Ethereum's chart, if we go up, you're going to have some resistance around 1271, then some more resistance right around 1375 or so, give or take. You have the downsloping line and this flat line area right here. Both of those meet right over here, and I would assume it would take a little time for price to kind of get in the mix there. Okay? All right, so that's where we are at this point in time on that. Let's look at Cardano real quick. Cardano, small bid here. Nothing really to write home about. You do have a mini kind of pseudo-bullish pattern, but honestly, it's not even that much of one. Notice how in this case, you had this down move, and look at the green bounce. It didn't negate the down move. So you really, for a cup to form in terms of the cup and handle pattern, you really want the down move to be essentially negated by the up move, at least up to kind of right here, and then that flag, the handle essentially to form. Yeah, you got the flag here, but again, this just wasn't quite good enough for me. Now, having said that, you still have an epically big support line down here where you can see every time you hit this line, big bounce, big bounce. You know, little bounces here, but then a big bounce there, and then another big bounce here, small bounce, small bounce. We'll see if we get the bigger bounce coming in on Cardano. Looking at Polkadot real quick, Polkadot remains kind of right at these low levels. Kind of the same thing as at Cardano here. You had the bigger move down and then the bounce was smaller, so this isn't really a great cup and handle pattern. Yesterday you had a kind of a nasty little sell candle, but then right back up today. You know, again, it's kind of hovering and holding this down-sloping trend line. So it's just, you know, all you can say is it's hovering around support. Now we want to see that bigger move that takes us up to this level here. Looking at NEAR, which again is one of our more recent pickups. And again, it's still nicely in the money. You know, it's nothing to write home about at this point. Yeah, I mean, I shouldn't say that. It's about a 10% gain. It's nothing to sneeze at. But still, you know, I really am looking for a bigger move. And right now, very simply put, this is your short-term high. See the high of this candle right here? I don't know if you guys can see that. There we go. So that high mirrors this area here. That's kind of your line in the sand for me where you're looking. And again, if we put a trend line right in there, you know, somewhere in this vicinity right in here, that's kind of your short-term resistance. So short-term resistance is around $1.70, maybe $1.71, right around there. If it can break through that, then you have upside to 180, and then really potentially as high as this area here, around 190, the 190s, maybe even $2. If it does break down, all I care about, like I've said in previous videos, here's your bottoming tail, classic bottoming tail right there, which is a technical reversal signal, and you just don't want to see a close below that low, which is about $1.43. Solana, take a look. Solana, kind of a weak bounce. You know, again, still, this is more of a cup and handle pattern than kind of the last two. Maybe not quite as good as Bitcoin or Ethereum. But again, you had the down move and then you quickly shot back up. Notice how the highs of these green candles essentially negated this whole move down. So that creates the cup. Then this is the handle, 45-degree angle. Absolutely, it's within that 45 to 90 degrees. So it is bullish. A little disappointing on the price action today. But remember, there's, you know, through all these bankruptcies, and this is the kicker, right? Through all these bankruptcies, there's just so many holdings of crypto, whether it's Solana with FTX or Bitcoin with other ones. And it's honestly, it's just gonna put pressure on crypto in the near term. And so, yeah, you're going to have bounces. I have no doubt about it. But it's going to be hard for crypto to really get a bull run when you have, you know, lack of regulations not drawing in new big money. And then you have these bankruptcies. And there will be more, by the way. I just want to be clear on that. I'm sure there's other companies in distress right now that are probably trying to find funding. And if they don't, then guess what? They're going to have to file for bankruptcy too. So, you know, again, just like with Lehman Brothers, you know, by the way, Lehman Brothers is the one we remember in 2008. It happened on September 15th is when that news hit. The markets again bottomed out in, you know, March 9th, I think, of 2009. But again, the key here is just understanding that it takes time for this kind of to cycle out in the system. Again, like I've said, I do think that we'll see lows in 2023, a pivot low, but it's going to be a longer cycle with the Fed as well. A couple things I want to just show you real quick. Avalanche, let's take a look here. Avalanche, again, not much of a bounce, just a little bit of a pullback here. You do have a cup and handle pattern here. And again, if we put that trend line here, you can see here's your right angle right there, and then your 90 degree, or your 45 degree angle right there. And so you are within that range. A little disappointing on the bounce today as well. Very little bounce compared to an ETH or a Bitcoin. But, you know, again, as long as it remains in that range, it's still technically okay on Avalanche. I did the live broadcast yesterday, so we covered a lot of the different charts in that. The other thing I just want to show you guys, and again, I want to reiterate this, and this is one of the positives in the Bitcoin chart, is that, again, not only have I isolated now down to where I think Bitcoin will bottom 5 to 6 months out at a price approximately 9,000-ish, give or take, but we're now at a point where if you look at the drops from these big events, here's your drop on Terra Luna, about a 40%, 45% dip. Here's your FTX, which arguably was bigger in terms of rocking the market, and you only got about a 25% decline. So, those little things, to me, start showcasing the positivity that we're coming towards the end. Again, there's by no means does it mean we're at the lows, as you guys know, but it's getting closer. It's getting closer, and again, I can't wait to be here and announce that I actually think Bitcoin has bottomed. Whether I'm right or wrong, we'll find out. But, it will be a cool period to finally say, okay, guys, and by the way, whenever it bottoms, I think the misconception is that, we're going to shoot right back up. And I want to be clear that that's not the case, right? We're not going to just all of a sudden rip back to all-time highs. But at least if we've seen the low, you'll see some chop, you'll see some good trading opportunities off that low where we can start accumulating those bigger hodl positions as well. And even honestly, even on swing trades, like if we actually bottom out and let's say some of these coins actually survive, even when Bitcoin's at 9,000, we can accumulate those. Maybe I won't hold them long term, but we can be looking for like 50 to 100% gains on those coins, which is really freaking nice. And again, in a bear market, when we're going long, we're taking 10, 20, 25% gains on some of these gains. But once you bottom out, you'll get 50, 100% bounces, even with then 50% retraces or 30% retraces. So, again, it just creates more opportunity for us in the crypto market. All right, guys, on that note, I'm going to bid you farewell. You guys have a great rest of your day. I will keep my eyes open, keep my ears open, and keep you guys posted. Take care.